Good late morning here on the East Coast, everybody, and welcome to Watkins Glen International Raceway for the final round, the season finale, if you will, of the 2018 Pirelli World Challenge Championship season, the Grand Prix of Watkins Glen, presented by TM Performance. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish, and we are about ready to get underway with the second to the last round, penultimate round, as they say, of the Touring Car Championship. Gino Carini will be covering all the action down in the pit lane for us as this race unfolds. Great to have you with us. And Cal, what a place to finish. Watkins Glen International, truly legendary venue, the sole home of Formula One in the United States to many people. Legendary sports car racing history. This is a good one.
So much history here, Greg, and I know all of the drivers and teams have just been looking forward to this one to finish off the season. The racetrack, however, the same layout, but boy, does it have some grip. They resurfaced this place a couple of years ago. Tremendous grip, great cornering loads, and going to be fun to watch.
For people that raced in this championship here, the last time was over 8 years ago, so the track in many ways, because of those changes, really quite different. Still turns the same way, but has a very different feel to it. Some of this track presents as almost driving on a street course. You got to be precision up through these S's, very little runoff. And with the size of the fields, we have certainly touring car, biggest field we've had of the season. This one could get real interesting.
It really does, particularly when the tires are relatively cold. Cool temperatures here this morning, 68 degrees currently. Going to rise a little bit as we see more action this afternoon, but certainly that'll be on top of the drivers' minds to get through that first lap or so when the tire temps aren't into their sweet spot on these Pirelli P0s. But so threading that needle up through the S's there, getting through that inner loop through the bus stop chicane is really critical on that opening lap.
Absolutely, and of course we've got a fairly compelling point battle coming in here. Vesco Kozarov came into the weekend with a handy championship lead. You think of some 20 points. That's been diminished a little bit, and the reason is Carl Whitmer in the classic BMW, who came in second in the points, absolutely uncorked the lap in qualifying.
He did. He laid down a marker, and that wasn't quite good enough. Johann Schwartz, who was very fast here yesterday, had the field covered by almost a second, I believe, in practice. He suddenly jumped to the top. Carl came to the pit lane, had to think about it, went back out and just put a lap together, which was so crucial in getting a bonus point for that pole position. He'll lead the field, which is great, but that bonus point, it's an outside shot at this championship, but he cuts that lead from 20 down to 19 on Kozarov. So if Kozarov has a bad day today or tomorrow, Whitman may nip in and pinch this championship from him.
Yeah, we're basically looking at there are, 52 points available on the weekend. One's already been pulled. There is an opportunity for Whitmer. He needs a little bit of help, obviously, and he's certainly doing what he can. Let's take a look at our race analysis. We've teased it a little bit. Track just under 3.4 miles in length, 11 turns, but it is so fast and flowing. I think these guys are going to put on one heck of a show.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And as you said, big TC field here this weekend. 20 cars lining up for the start here. A number of different manufacturers there on the grid. So BMWs look strong, though, Greg, and that's going to be crucial to see some of those other guys support Carl Whitmer in this chase for the championship. Create a buffer in those points between he and Kozarov.
Well, it's interesting. There are 11 of the M235 IRs in this field. It's a great platform. The difference in the manufacturer championship is only 7 points. Nissan leads it with all those BMWs and the speed we're seeing from some of them. That could come into play as well. I think it's going to be fascinating. Plus, you got the Genesis Coupes of Jeff Rika and Stanley that have been showing great speed. Sort of a specialist here, John Weisberg and his TC Spec Mazda from Redcon Labs. There are some fast competitors that are definitely, I think, going to be in the mix and could really upset the apple cart in many ways.
There's definitely some spoilers out there, Greg, and everyone wants to finish off the season on a high, have that momentum through the off-season, new programs potentially for next year. You want to be in the limelight right now.
Well, as you can see, the field is starting to stage up. Everybody getting ready at the front of the grid. Let's get down there for the start command. Gino Carini has Jim Jordan, the Touring Car Series Manager.
Absolutely. Here to deliver the most important words in motorsports we're not getting ready yet, sorry.
Oh, we jumped it just a little bit, apparently.
Our very own touring car class manager, James Jordan.
Pirelli World Challenge drivers, start your engines!
Attaboy, Jim. He lives for touring car racing. And I'll tell you what, I think he knows something very special could happen. There's a look at that front row as we are getting set to release this field here. We're talking 20 cars strong. 21 were entered. Dina Weisberg had an incident in one of the early practice sessions and couldn't get a qualifying time in. Hopefully they have got that car repaired and she'll be able to make the start. and has the beautiful BMW M pace car, powered by M. Drives away. Let's get to our Pirelli storylines. And we've chatted a little bit about some of it, but obviously the big thing is Whitmer on pole in that point. But then Kozarov, so strong this season, comes in here and just hasn't been on the pace.
Yeah, there's been some adjustments to that race car, to the Nissan. Has been so strong this year. He's got a little less rear wing angle that he can run, so that's really made him try and numb the front of his car. He's lost rear downforce. To get the car balanced, you've got to basically take away front grip, so he's been battling that all weekend long. A bit more weight with it as well, so... But he's canny, he's savvy, he's on the second row of the grid. He's just got to let this race play out. Of course, the first thing, Greg, is to get that 50% mark to ensure that you get points. Then if you want to go get racy, go after it at that point.
And that is that number 3 Nissan right there. And he's obviously crunched the numbers. He knows where he needs to be finishing as these races unfold. He'll start in the 4th spot. Johann Schwartz, one of those guys that certainly here is going to have the potential to steal some points.
Absolutely, and I'm not sure what sort of conversations have gone on amongst the BMW camp. Certainly Johan wants to finish off the season strong. Got a lot of pace here this weekend. The setup seems to be spot on with that car. But is Carl Whitmer a bigger factor? Is he going to support the other BMW in his chase for the Drivers' Championship? A lot of BMWs, though. 1, 2, 3 on the grid. Kozarov sits there in the 4th position. So manufacturer's title on the line. The Drivers' Championship. Can the other BMWs help out Whitmer to buffer those points a little bit?
Absolutely. And, of course, Gino, there is a team that has stepped up big here, Autotechnic Racing. 3 cars they're running here, and one of their drivers seems to have stepped up his game as well.
Yeah, Robert Nimkov has got to be the happiest guy out there today. He's been charging hard all season long. I talked to him just before the race. I've never seen someone so smiley, so happy. He's in 3rd place on position and starting. He is just happy to be up there with the fast guys. It's going to be a fast day for him. It's going to be a fast event this weekend, and he's ready to take the challenge.
All right, thanks very much, Gino. And you almost wonder here when you watch Nimkov with the other 2 cars here, if that extra data is giving him just a little bit of something that they've been able to find on the car. I got to throw in 2 wild cards here. Dennis Hanratty in the Krug Speed Lotus. He's been showing some speed in the practice sessions. He was top 5 in one of those sessions. That car goes here. And, of course, we know Jeff Rika in the Gen Racer Genesis Coupe has great speed as well. So deeper in the pack are guys that might just come up.
Yeah, Jeff Rieger, he classes this like Line Rock as one of his home tracks. Of course, lives just 5 hours away. He missed Portland and Utah events, but he's back this weekend. And I'm a little surprised, actually, that Genesis isn't more towards the sharp end, but that just shows how competitive the championship is. And also how these teams now really finding the sweet spot with their setup. You get to the last round of the championship, you understand your race car a lot better. So if you skip some rounds, you almost fall behind a little bit.
That's a very good point. Now, this is going to be 40 minutes, as all of these races are. Will be rolling start. In fact, both events will be rolling starts this weekend. Conditions, though, it's humid, but it's still fairly cool, cloud cover. That mean they could push these Pirelli P0s a little bit deeper into the race?
I think you can. I mean, tremendous grip at this racetrack. Typically, a tire will degrade when you're sliding the tire, but there's so much grip here. I don't expect that to be a big issue here today, particularly with the cloud cover and the cooler conditions.
Well, it's about to unfold once again as we get ready to go. The 11th and 12 rounds. Here we come out of turn number 9. And a spin there by the 06 of Bruce Wexler in the DRS BMW. He qualified at the back of the pack and was obviously working on scrubbing some tires up, but just got a little too over anxious with it. But now heading into turns 10 and 11, and then we get the start and we head down into the 90s, what they call the 90 here, turn 1. It falls away downhill, very tricky corner, and then that climb through those S's, which is one of the more spectacular pieces of racing real estate you're going to find. But here we go. The BMW M-Powered pace car is in, leading him to the line. BMWs across the front row. Whitmer and Johann Schwartz waiting for that green flag, and there it goes. Whitmer gets the jump beautifully. Kozarov, he got a pretty good launch, Cal. If he can get down to the inside of Schwartz, he might be able to make something happen. He's trying it.
Yeah, he timed that perfectly, but he's thinking about the big picture in the championship. Didn't want to force the issue. He's happy there to gain 1 position. Slots into 3rd, our championship leader.
And here we go. Everybody looks clean through that first turn. Now, the climb up the S's. And you've got to think at this stage that Johan, and obviously he likes winning, but he also understands the big picture, and that he might just work with Whitmer here and just trying to push them clear of Kozarov. And as I say that, he looks to the inside.
Goes for the lead immediately. Tire temps aren't there yet. Whitmer side by side. This is hairy stuff. Whitmer off in the grass. Can he hold it together? He does so. Is he going to come back on right in front of Kozarov? They almost touch. Great move there by Kozarov. You can see he just waited. He just waited to see what was going to develop there and how Whitmer's going to come back onto the racetrack. Brilliant driving by Kozarov and gets through.
Absolutely. A great save by Whitmer, but yeah, Kozarov, that kind of track awareness is huge, but Whitmer, first to fourth.
I was surprised to see those two
too.
BMWs go side by side like that. I thought there had been some conversation between those guys prior to the start, but Schwartz wanted the lead. Whitmer didn't want to give it up.
Well, that's exactly what I was alluding to, is I figured that they would be playing the manufacturer team game just a little bit, and clearly Johan wanted to go and get it done. Now the question is, will Whitmer be able to get up through the pack? He's got his teammate now in front of him. Matt Travis had snuck through as well. And will he let Whitmer through to see if Whitmer can get to and start attacking that Nissan? And that's the big story here, really. Second place, the number 3 white and green Nissan. Fourth place is the number 91 Classic BMW, the blue one of Whitmer.
It's a perfect start to this race for Kozarov. I mean, let's take another look at there. Schwartz, they're down to the inside. He gets there over the curb. Whitmer has to give him room, has to take the shortcut straight across. Great save right there. The tire temps aren't where you need to be. Look at Kozarov. He just breezed it a little bit and then is able to take evasive action and slide to the outside of Whitmer as he makes his way back onto the racetrack.
Well, it looked to me like Whitmer was completely surprised. Ooh, and a big off here by the 09 Greg Nitskowski in the
front
team
end damage there,
DRS
Greg, that right front corner.
He's trying to get it going. And he might be able to, where that was, he might be able to at least get it limped down into pit lane, which would be a good thing.
Yeah, a little bit of debris, but that's offline, so I think they'll still just wait and see how this develops before throwing the full caution out there.
But as I was going to say, it looked to me like Whitmer was very surprised by that move, as we see Travis play the team game beautifully and just let Whitmer slide through, and Carl's going to start attacking here, but I think that surprised him completely.
It really did. So Whitmer is back on it again now, back into a rhythm. Tires are obviously a little dirtied up from the run through the grass there, so he's regrouped. The key is he's got to get around Kozarov. He's got to cut into that championship lead, but he needs some of these other BMWs to go with him.
And if he gets super aggressive on Kozarov, then Kozarov starts to think, boy, if this continues, I can get tapped, I can get hit. I think Kozarov will let him slide through. Let's go back and see if we can find what happened with the 09 once again in Nitskowski.
Just up and over that curb a little bit. Just loses the rear end and clouts. There's like a funnel there as you're coming off from the long circuit to the short. A lot of room there, and we see another car in trouble here.
Oh, that's him. I think he was trying. That's turn 10.
Back, yeah.
I wonder if that right front corner just finally collapsed on him and he just couldn't get it to turn.
I assume that he's got his way back to pit lane, but that is not the case.
He's out. You can see him behind the barrier there. Well, he's far enough over to the right that they might just say, that's close enough, we're okay, as we go back to it. So after that very involved opening lap, it is 80 Johan Schwartz leading from the number 3 of Kozarov, the point leader. Whitmer now moves up into the third spot with Matt Travis in fourth. Those are the teammates in the classic BMWs. The Nimkov in the number 20 Auto Technic BMW. And already Jeff Ricca has taken that Genesis Coupe up into the 6th spot. He's on the move.
He is. He's got around Weisberg. So good run here for Whitmer now. He's tucked right into the draft of that Nissan. Remember, that Nissan's running a little bit more mandated, less rear wing, so that should be an advantage for Kozarov here on the straightaway. Certainly help him, but look at this. Whitmer goes to the outside. How hard will Kozarov fight him into the brake zone? He doesn't. He gives it to him.
I think that's another savvy move by Kozarov.
What he wants Whitmer now to do is take off so he can go with him and gap himself to those other BMWs. Kozarov will be okay with this, but he doesn't need Travis and company to get by him as well.
So you think Whitmer, would it be a smart play by Whitmer to back him up just a little bit and let these guys try and attack on him?
Well, I think that would be one ploy, but the other thing is he wants maximum points. He wants to catch Johan and get the win points. Just grab as many as he can. He's got the bonus point for the poles. We see Nimkov here tucking into the rear of Travis there as they come off the toe of the boot.
And behind Nimkov, a little bit of a margin now back to Jeff Ricca in the 78 Genesis Coupe. Then Weisberg. Weisberg was very, very quick in that first practice session. This is a place he knows incredibly well. And at Lime Rock, he said we kept having belt problems. Drive belts kept coming off the car, and he said we finally found what it was, and it was a seam in one of the pulleys. And when you'd lift off the throttle, then go back to throttle, the belt would release, and when it would come back, it would just shear the belt. And he said it took us a while, but we found it. He said the car's been running great since.
Great to see him back in the championship. Explained to me this weekend is another year that they campaign these Genesis coupes, but he's looking at other options as well for next year and beyond. Schwartz, I think it was a bit of a surprise that he didn't grab the pole position here earlier this morning, Greg, but
it was,
certainly put that to right immediately.
Well, he said that, he and the crew, and of course he's got those two fairly brilliant minds along with his crew chief Eric Meyer from University of West Virginia SAE program that are working on setup. And he said they found something, and then we tweaked it with tire pressures, and the car was just magic. And it certainly looks like the number 26 of Matt Travis. That car is working well too.
It is. Kozrov's a little bit further ahead than where Whitmer was, but he gives it to him as well. So again, another BMW slides by Kozrov. He's dropping further and further into this pack here, and that's eating away at his championship lead potentially.
And Travis, as he got through into the second half of the inner loop, which is that quick right, left, right, looked like he was a little wide of that second left apex, and the car slid just a little bit. I thought that if Kozarov had got the right run, he might try and do something with it, but now Kozarov has to worry about the on-form Robert Nimkov that is filling his mirrors in the Auto Technic at this point. But as we watch Whitmer now able to gap Kozarov just a little bit, I'm kind of curious, Gino, as to what the crew one thought of what happened with Johan in that attack, and now what Whitmer's doing.
Well, I'm talking to Alex Perry, who's the crew chief for Carl Whitmer. We talked about the little bit of the start, the bobble, the off, but tell me what's in his head now. What's going on back there?
Carl's just trying to recuperate that time that he lost to Johan on the first lap. They went too wide through the bus stop, couldn't hold it, so we're trying to get that back. Trying to put as many positions we can between Vesco and Carl. Try to get some of those championship points back for this race, and then go on to race 2 and see if we can close that gap even further.
And as far as lap times, how's he doing right now?
Right now he's got the fastest lap of the race, so hopefully that'll give him the pole point for race 2, and that's another point towards the championship.
Thanks, Alex.
Well, that's a great point that Gino asked about that fast lap, knowing exactly that story. That's huge if it holds.
It really is. It's so important when a championship is this tight. We're coming down to the wire. But as he was talking, I was just about to say, well, Schwartz just took it away. He did momentarily, and then Whitmer took it back again. So he's laid down a new fast lap at a 2:03 flat compared to a 2:03.3 for Schwartz. You look at Kozrov's fastest lap at 2:04.5. So certainly Kozrov does not have the pace this weekend of these BMWs. He's just in damage control right now. Cannot afford to lose too many more spots. Top 5, if Whitmer was to win, there's a big swing in the points. It'd be an 8-point swing. So that is a big cut into that lead, particularly if Whitman's picking up both bonus points for a pole and fast lap with that pole for tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be massive, absolutely. Here's a look here at the number 31. It's the RTF Racing Honda Accord V6, the Gate 9 design entry of Jack Baruth, who happens to be a contributing editor to Road and Track magazine and wanted to come out and race, and he just won the Optima Batteries Best Start Award, up 4 spots from the start of this race at the end of that first lap. So great job, and great to have Jack and the media well represented on track here this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Really nice guy. I had a chat with him this weekend. He's been racing for a number of years at the club level, so he's really kind of analyzing the jump between club racing and pro level racing in the Pirelli World Challenge. Going to put a nice feature together on that online, and he's also a big BMX racer as a younger lad, so he knows how to go after it.
And if he's a big BMX, he's fit, clearly. And those guys work awfully hard here as we are watching Travis, Kozarov, and Nimkov, this battle for third. And then just coming into frame there is Rika in the Genesis Coupe. Taking a look here, just kind of wondering what kind of lap times we're seeing for Rika. Yeah, about the same as the group in front. He closed up for a bit, and now things have just sort of evened out just a stage. But, well, I'll tell you, Cal, you look right now, the top 3 running in the 203s, there's something all the way down to 12th are in the 204s. This field's so close right now.
It really is, and I can't remember going to a race weekend this year where so many drivers were happy with their race car as they are here. As we talked about earlier, bigger notebook to work from, more setup information available, but I think it's just the grip of this racetrack. It just makes you feel good.
I think that's exactly it. Ooh, look at this little bit of a move here. Look to the inside. That is Clooney in the number 27. Another classic BMW.
Oh, that's super tight there.
Ooh, and Paul Terry said, yeah, no.
Yeah, Clooney had to jump all over the anchors there and kind of get it slowed down. Otherwise, there was going to be contact and someone was going to go for a ride. So good heads-up driving there. Pretty aggressive there by Paul Terry, not wanting to give up the position. Totally legit, though. He went for the apex and found it.
Exactly. And, of course, Terry, teammate in the Reardon Racing Camp in that Nissan 2 Kozarov, driving the Paul Terry trucking machine.
Spoke to Vesco about Paul Terry and his speed this year, and he agreed with my observations that on certain racetracks, the guy is just dynamite. He's just really getting to be a little bit more consistent. He said at Utah he was super fast over like 9/10 of the lap. There was 1 or 2 corners were tripping him up. So he says as he starts to get the experience, he's going to be a real factor in this championship.
Yeah, he was very quick early in the season, and had that, it was a VIR, I think, had a pretty big shunt, and gathered it up and came back. But yeah, I think he's somebody to keep an eye on. I'm also watching Dennis Hanratty, and we talked about that he was had some potential here, was in the top 5 in one of the practice sessions, qualified 7th, but I think he got shuffled just a little bit here, sits back in 11th in that Lotus. Meanwhile, watching again the attack here, Terry now.
The Brominator.
Yeah.
Brumman there doesn't want to give it up. Running a slightly defensive line, and that's totally okay. You cannot react to a guy making a move and block them, but you can choose your own racing line, and that's what Mark's doing right now.
There's a look at the number 40 of Hanratty, and he gets a little bit of a run here on the 87 of Henry Schmidt. That's the BMW of San Francisco. Stephen Cameron car, locking it up. Car dancing on the brakes, side by side.
That was good hard racing between both of those guys there.
That was fabulous. Now the sweep up through the S's.
Yeah, Schmidt, I thought he was just going to give it up. He tried to take it in super late, and tail was wagging on him a little bit, but kept it together and went back to racing. Normally guys want to regroup a little bit. He was willing to go side by side through the apex area again.
Now Hanratty looks to the inside, going to go super deep into the bus stop, and not quite close enough.
Problem is there, if you stick your nose in and you don't make the pass, you lose a lot of momentum through the inner loop, and that affects you for about half a lap to get the pace back. But this battle is not going away. Mark Brumman continue to defend. That's not a good place to be on the outside. Very lucky that Paul Terry didn't run out of room there, and you just can't get the car turned once you're off on the grass there on the entrance to that corner.
You saw Terry going, what was that all about? And adding a little bit of salt. Ooh, and Terry, he's got a problem.
He's got cut down tire,
cut down tire. Wow.
Yeah, that's what we talk about in the experience. I mean, there's really nowhere to go with that. Yeah, you get a run on someone and you pop out, you go to the right-hand side, but that's the danger zone down in that corner. If you're going to have an accident in the boot area of this racetrack, it's probably on the entrance to that corner is the likely spot.
And that is a long, slow slog to try and get back into the pits. And the other thing, there's the initial touch, that's the cut there.
Yeah, Brumman was lucky to keep it together. He almost got turned there, and then luckily for Terry, it happened early enough in the approach that he could still get turned down towards the corner.
And, of course, taking advantage of it, a savvy move. Jason Clooney shot around both of them and is picked up here. Look at this. Carl Whitmer is closing in. He's got that margin last time by, and this down about 1.2 seconds. He's got it down to under a second, Cal.
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit more pace right now. Johan may be managing somewhat, and then the question is Johan willing to give it up? Is he all out for the victory for he and the team this weekend, or is he willing to give BMW a hand and maybe have one of their other drivers still have a shot at this Drivers' Championship?
Well, every once in a while, a driver will say, look, I'm going to the front. I'm going to show what I can do, and then I'll let you through. But I want people to know that if I wanted to, this was my race,
right.
And I wonder if that wasn't kind of, and obviously you've got your own sponsors to look after and your team and the like, and to show what you're capable of. And a lot of these teams they have customer programs and they want to have other drivers come in. I'm just trying to spitball them on what the process is.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. If you're going to let him have it in the last couple of corners. Just say, this was my win. I'm giving it to you. I'm doing you a favor. And the man of fact, this is hairy stuff right now for Kozarov. He's in a place in this race he probably would prefer not to be, with Nimkov literally all over the tail of that Nissan looking for a way by. We're still not at the halfway point where Kozarov is guaranteed points yet today.
Well, and the problem is that, again, he's doing a very early turn in here to defend, and that just slows you down into the corner and slows you down on the exit.
The other thing with that mandated rear wing angle, it not only affects your straightaway speed and high-speed corner balance, it also affects your braking ability as well.
Good point.
If you're planted into the brake zone, so that may be what Kozarov is having to do to defend, is just be super conservative and compromising his entry to make sure he can keep the position.
Well, like you said, and I love the way you described it, with less grip at the back, you have to numb the front just a little bit. And that, as you said, absolutely can change how you have to approach a corner.
It really does. And even with the grip that this racetrack is providing all of the teams and the tires this weekend, it's still, when these race cars are being developed over the course of a year and suddenly you've given a little bit of a change, you're really working double overtime during the practice sessions to try and find the sweet spot once again with your race car.
And having a look here at Hanratty, now up into 9th in that number 40, Krug Speed, Lotus Exige. And he continues to close up here. He is now coming along and coming after Drummond. And Gino, this is a car that we thought could be top 5 potential here. He slipped back a little bit early.
Absolutely. Dennis is fast. I raced with Dennis last year and the year before last, so Dennis is back. And I'm here with he's back. I'm here with Dennis's crew chief, Chris Rollo. Why did you decide to Watkins Glen?
Watkins Glen has a lot of history for us and the Hanratty family. This has been a home track of ours for 10 years running. We're out of the Westchester area, New York. And Dennis is a PA boy, so this is a home track. We got tons of experience here. We're excited to be back. And, P2 in the second qualifying, that was the announcement that we were back. And first lap was a little rough, but we're running back up, and we're excited to be back.
Welcome back. Good luck to Dennis going forward.
Thank you.
Well, he's running some times. That group of cars that are running in the 204s, he's the fastest of that group at a 204 flat, and he's done that in that range a couple of times here, and that's what's hauling him up onto the back of the 02 of Drummond. And I guess we have to kind of wonder a little bit whether that 02 entry of Drummond, that Autotechnic BMW, is healthy. I mean, that was a pretty good little tap.
Yeah, it really was, and I wonder what his right rear suspension alignment is like with that.
Yeah.
With the high-speed nature of this racetrack,
exactly.
Greg, if everything isn't just quite right, it can really affect your confidence and the car's stability as you turn in.
Well, you knock that toe just the wrong way, and you get into these fast corners here, and that wants to snap around on you. If there is an issue right now, no wonder they call him the Bruminator. He's hanging on to it beautifully.
Yeah, it was the right. It would have been the right side that was affected if it was, and predominantly right-hand turns, so it shouldn't affect him too much. But certainly through the lefts, he'll be thinking about things. As now we see this battle for the lead is really closing down. Whitmer is on the move,
and he's got the draft right now. You can see Johan defending a little bit. Whitmer pops to the outside.
I just get the impression, Greg, from that opening lap and that line that Johan was taking there, I don't think he's going to be doing Carl any favors this weekend.
It doesn't seem to be.
I mean, because both boys were putting it totally on the line there on the opening lap into the inner loop. They both wanted the lead.
Ooh, Carl showing the nose a little bit, trying to see if he might rattle Johan.
Yeah, actually got Carl more out of rhythm than it did.
It did, yeah.
Johan there.
Down into the toe. This is a fascinating corner. There's a fair amount of banking there. And you see some guys, depending upon if they've got traffic right behind them or not, they'll actually open up the entrance, try and get it turned and square it up the hill.
It's amazing how much you can ask of your race car around here now, Greg, with the grip level. Talking to a number of the drivers this weekend, they just said, you push and you just push some more and you're just waiting for it to give up. Do you know what I mean? It kind of deceives you in terms of how much rolling speed you can carry.
Oh, problem here. This is the number 75. It's the Team Gen Racer Genesis Coupe, the Texlum Stretchers entry of Jason Stanley, and seems to be a bit off of the pace, just a little bit back in 13th right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he had to reset something.
Yeah.
Obviously, he was off the pace there, and as soon as that car went through, it looks like he's back with the program.
Meanwhile, back to the battle here at the front. Last time through, it was just under half a second and almost identical, which means that if they get through the 90 here, turn one well, this is where Carl was able to pick up a pretty good toe. Uses a little bit more track at the exit, might be carrying a bit more speed, Cal.
Yeah, and you'll have to think about maybe you want to roll a little bit more speed and eat up a little bit more of that curb. As long as you've got two tires on that painted curb somewhere, they said during the drivers' meeting, you'll know if you're in bounds or not because your car will be shaking. So I said it's like not shake and bake, it's shake or but get baked by the stewards if you're in the smooth stuff on the far side of those curbs. Johan deep into the brake zone again. Whitmer there gets a much better on. Johan's a little bit offline right now. What can Whitmer do with it?
Nothing at this point.
There's nowhere to go right now. Just got to hope that maybe, just maybe, if there is any tire degradation in the last 5 or 10 minutes, maybe that will open up the door a little bit more for Whitmer to make a move. But right now, Schwartz is able to get offline and still have the grip to get away with it.
Well, I wonder if what you were just talking about down in turn one, if Whitmer were to use a little bit more of that curve, carry speed, so that he's another car length closer as they start that climb through the S's, even if Johan moves over to the right like he's been doing, which he's entitled to do to dissuade him, if he's got enough of a run to just try and get along the outside and just force the issue.
The good news for Whitmer here this weekend, unlike what we saw in the heat at Utah, is that they can actually run the draft. Do you know what I mean? So if he gets a run on him, he can sit right in the slipstream and use that aero advantage, whereas in past couple of hot weekends, we haven't been able to do that because teams really need to get the air to the ducting and to the rads.
All right, and a problem for the number 75 of Stanley in that Gen Racer coupe, Gino.
Yeah, we just talked to their crew guys, and unfortunately, it looks like he's down on power. And as you guys can see in front of me, he's in the pits. They're reviewing everything, just trying to get him back out there. But this was a last-minute deal as of Wednesday. He wasn't going to be in this car, and it's just an unfortunate finish to today's event.
Yeah, it's sad. That car certainly has great potential, and Paul capable at this point, or Jason, capable, just not able to make that unfold at this stage, and that's unfortunate. And, Mark Brumman, by the way, another story on Wednesday. That car was entered for somebody else. The guy had a last-minute conflict, and the team called him and asked him if he'd like to drive it. So this time he's closer sooner.
Yeah, he's had to pop out, though. There wasn't the opening to keep carrying that speed. He has to go to the other side. Now he slides back to the inside. He can't get the fender up alongside him, though. That's what he needs to do, just get on the flank of Schwartz and maybe force the issue a little bit more. But Johan's up to the task right now in terms of defending.
Yeah, Johan a lot cleaner that time through the inner loop, too. He didn't get offline.
He's using a lot of those curbs, though, to
Yes,
maximize that speed through there. Whitmer's car looks pretty handy in terms of the grip level and the balance right now. Right there, Schwartz seems to really gap Whitmer on the entrance to the laces.
Well, and obviously, depending on setup and the like, you're going to have spots on the track where your car just might be a little bit more effective than the other guy.
Seems like Johan's a little bit more comfortable running that wider entry point, so he kind of rolls a little bit more speed initially in there. But this is go time. If you've got anything, this is go time in the race, go time in the championship for Carl Whitmer. If he's going to cut into that lead and put the heat on Kozarov for tomorrow's event, he's got to find a way by this BMW in front of him.
And at what point here, with the points margin that we've been talking about, at what point does Carl say, look, I'm just throwing caution to the wind here, and if I've got to get in there and rough them up a little bit, I'm going to do it?
I think from any point from now forward, Greg.
Okay.
I mean, you've got points. Kozarov is guaranteed points. There's not going to be a bundle come your way, so these couple of points, the difference between first and second, could be crucial tomorrow. Kozarov, you can see there, is holding off Nimkov for that fourth position.
And working hard to do exactly that. And it's a 3-point difference from first to second where Whitmer sits right now.
Kozarov really late on the brakes there and plowed that speed through turn one. Just executed that corner to perfection. He's a really savvy, intelligent racer. Seems to be really strong on the setup. And you can just see him thinking about the whole picture of the race constantly. Is this battle for the lead? I don't think Schwartz is going to give Whitmer anything today, Greg. I don't know how you kind of read this situation, but I think if he was going to give him any favors, there'd have been a bit more language in that direction by now.
I would agree with you. I was thinking that maybe, he'd wait a little bit later in and then let him through, but at this stage with the attack that Whitmer's putting on, it's pretty obvious. And I see what you mean about that more open line into the laces of the boot that just gives Johan right there that little extra length or two he needs.
It really does. Kozrov just keeps doing his thing. He's just got to somehow keep Nimkov behind him. Fourth place finish. He'd be okay with that. He does that for 2 days in a row, and that will be enough.
And I think where we're seeing that real savvy nature that you're talking about with Kozrov is I could see, having that wing change and then having to make the adjustment on the front. Some drivers, and Kozrov's capable of it, to just pick the thing up, start carrying it, throw it around, maybe run laps for a while a little quicker, but then route the tires and be in trouble. He is not only showing some savvy out there, but tremendous discipline.
He does. He drives the car to the grip level that it provides. He doesn't try and ask for more. You see that all of the time with him. And even when he's running really fast laps, it looks smooth, it looks under control because he's just feeling the grip.
And Johan leads again at the line. The margin almost exactly that same, right about 0.4 of a second. It shifted a little bit left and right on occasion of that margin, but that's about it.
Leader's lap times have dropped off a little bit, running consistent low fours right now, so Whitmer's fast lap time at a 2:03.021 should hold up for the fast lap and the pole and the bonus points. He now gets a big run on Schwartz.
This time he makes that move to the outside. Just never quite far enough alongside to be able to close the deal.
You can see Johan, though, by running that shallow angle, he opens up the door a little bit. Whitmer's getting ever closer to maybe making a move, and there could be some argy-bargy here before long. Just when Johan has to defend into the inner loop, that just shallows his angle and really compromises his speed through the first half, and Whitmer's able to carry and roll speed and be right on him as they exit the corner.
That was the first time I've seen the back of Johan's car snap out just a little bit, and they are coming up onto the back of the number 50. And that, of course, I believe is Dina Weisberg. They got that car up and running, and they're going to be catching her in short order, and it's all a matter of where. There she is. And nice job. Just gets down to the inside, gets on the brakes, and lets him through.
Well, a ton of room there for Whitmer, but yes, she did do a nice job of trying to get out of the way, but Whitmer had to commit. He had to go for it. He couldn't afford to pause anything. You can see him there up on the wheel. Just really trying to ring and find an ounce more speed out of his race car. And at the same time, through racecraft, figure out a way by Johan Schwartz.
And we are coming up on 11 to go. Whoa, Johan dropped that left tire. You can see it snapped a little bit, and this might be opportunity for Whitmer.
Yeah,
Johan has to defend.
He does. He was almost too close to him, Greg, to take advantage. I think if he had been half a car length further back, he could have maybe rolled a little bit more speed, but you can see by that, Johan's trying everything he can to maintain the lead of this race. Up and over the curb, he's going to have a big draft here, but the problem is, where does he go with it? When Johan gets up through the S's, he's going to hold that right-hand side and make Carl go the long way around, you'd feel.
Let's see what happens. This is it.
Whitmer backed off a little bit, maybe
like
breathed the throttle to get a run a little bit later into the straightaway to make Johan think about which way he wants to go.
Boy, and you know that Carl would love to be able to just throw the dummy and have Johan swing out, but Johan's savvy enough to know, no, I'll give him the outside all day long there.
Yeah, and he will have known that he nearly made a big enough error there to open up the door on the previous lap, so he's a bit more conservative there coming off the inner loop, Johan Schwartz that time. This is a real chess match right now.
These are the fun ones, aren't they? You just watch them study as we're under 10 minutes left in the second to the last round of the championship. Matt Travis, by the way, doing a very nice job sitting in third. 4 seconds back of this group, but a few seconds clear now of Kozarov. Kozarov still has Nimkov filling those mirrors. Nimkoff, though, fairly clear of Rika. Into the heel.
What does Carl Whitmer have up his sleeve? Where can he surprise Schwartz and make a move that he hasn't seen just yet?
As you can see now, Kozarov has been able to get a little bit of a gap back to the 20, and we're getting reports from that the Corner Network is saying that car is dragging something, possibly some exhaust piping up. You can see it there.
Hopefully that will hang on.
Yeah, he deserves a good finish. He's just been on form all weekend. Still, Whitmer's got that fast lap, which if he hangs on, that's another point and gives him the pole.
Yeah, I just don't see anyone getting close to that. Even though the Pirelli P0s throughout the course of the season have really been amazing, how the drivers can lay down fast laps towards the end of the race. Obviously, the car's a little bit lighter as it burns off the fuel. But typically, this is a good place. This is a really good place. He's got a big run. Johan will defend to that right-hand side. Does he open up the door enough? No, he doesn't.
Oh, this is such fun to watch. Two awfully talented drivers.
Yeah, you can see Whitmer just keeps playing with the gap brake. He's just trying to work with the timing. He's got an advantage in certain areas of the racetrack, but he's just playing with the gap as to being able to maximize that rolling speed that he could carry over Johan.
And we continue to watch this battle. Obviously, Matt Travis sits in third, but point leader Vesko Kozarov back in the fourth spot. And he is with the team. Ooh, Johan, sorry, just a little bit of scrub there. May have lost some momentum, but let's get down to Gino, check in on Reardon Racing and Vesko Kozarov.
Absolutely. I'm with Laura Tallman, team owner for Vesko Kozarov. Vesko seems to be running a very smooth, calm, steady race. He just wants to be in that position. What are the kind of things he's talking to you about on the radio? I know he's not a lot on the radio, but anything, give us an indication of how he's feeling.
Well, obviously at the beginning he had quite a bit of frustration because the BMWs could easily drive around him going up the hill, and he had nothing for them. So he's really just trying to maintain his points, stay out of trouble. But it's really difficult given the BOP where we are for him to keep in front of the BMWs.
All right, so we've got one round left after this one. How do you guys feel? What's the strategy going into that? Same as today or something different?
There's not a whole lot we can do. We're doing everything we can. This is all we have with the car. He's an incredible driver, and if anyone can do it, he can. But there's no way he can be at the front of the pack right now.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Well, and I think you talked about it, Cal. Yes, well, this battle again is so fierce, but you mentioned it that if he just continues to get fourths, that would do it. I mean, so he's doing what he has to do right now.
Yeah, there's different targets for him in the race. One is to keep that first opening lap clean, don't get into anything, get to the halfway point, secure points for the day, and then top fives will do it for him. So he cannot afford to throw it away. And normally we talk about points means prizes. Well, I think it's poise means prizes for Kozarov today.
Yeah, big picture thinking. And as you said, he just, Whitmer down to the inside, but that was just too tight.
Yeah, and again, Schwartz's ability to roll speed into that corner is really a crucial advantage that he has right now, and it just seems like Whitmer's seen him do it, and he must recognize he's losing about half a car length there on the entry to that corner, but just not confident enough to put his car on that piece of the racetrack. Just runs a much shallower angle and turn-in point for the corner.
Now, do you think we're also maybe seeing Whitmer, we've seen this in other categories this weekend by drivers of this caliber, where they're not quite showing what they really have, and that he might be saying, okay, I'm just letting him think that I can't break any deeper, I can't get any deeper when I can, to try and set him up. I mean, these last 5 minutes, I think, are going to be absolutely amazing. Ooh, Schwartz a little wide there again, so clearly fair evidence here that Johan isn't holding back.
No, that's for sure. Oh, Whitmer rolled a lot of speed through there. He's starting to put the pressure on. It really is. This is the moment in this race. He's got to go for it. He's got to run here. He has to make a move. He's got to be bold.
All right, down into turn one. Falls away down at the bottom of the hill, looks to the inside. Now swings out as Johan moved over just a little bit, trying to increase his exit. Oh. Again, up through the S's.
He's just kind of stymied here so far in this race. You see Johan kind of stay to the right, move back, and then Whitmer kind of slices back to the right-hand side. He stays left this time. What he needs to do is just pause it here and just really roll maximum speed through this first half of the inner loop and see if he can do anything with it on the exit and down into the laces on the boot.
Well, here we go. Here's that spot. Whitmer, boy, he got a run there. Tucks back in. Now, looks to the inside. No.
It's a tough one, though, Greg. You know, if you make a move to the inside and there's any contact, typically the guy on the outside is going to go for a ride and maybe have an accident. So that's a bold place to make a move. But again, there's a championship on the line right now. It's not like we're down at the last couple of laps and is for a position to win the championship, but it's positioning yourself as he now gets a really good run.
Yep.
This could be it.
Johan had a wiggle.
Enough. He's got to dive deep into the brakes here. He's got to force the issue right now.
He's there. Now. Oh, and he's wide on the exit. Oh. Johan comes up underneath, and Whitmer at this stage, he's got to let Johan back through because that would have been a violation of track limit, I think.
Yeah, he took it in deep there, but he just had to roll too much speed through the apex and ran out of room. So we talk about that rule. That would have been shake and bake. You're over those curbs and you're going to get baked by the steward. Had to give it back up, but
we just got confirmation from race control the fact that he let Johan right back through. No penalty. Battle can continue, thank goodness.
Johan has been really dynamite on the brakes in all areas of this racetrack. What Carl needs to do is just be able to time that a little bit better, get the car positioned to the inside, then get on the brakes a little bit earlier. As soon as you've got any overlap, just slow it way down and still make the corner, but maintain the position on the inside.
I almost wonder if he's got opportunity down into turn one, if he squares it a little bit. He just seems to get into and through one so well. Here he pops to the outside early. The minute he gets out there, he loses that toe, hits that wall of air. Oh, and look at that. Jack Ruth just saying, all right, I understand what's going on here. Have at it, guys.
It's pretty savvy by Jack there, just getting out of the way of the leaders right now at a crucial point in this race and the championship.
You know what, with this battle up front, Travis not close enough to really join it, but he's closing in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, the last lap he was a second and a half quicker than the leaders as they jockeyed around and costing them a lot of time. But you know that Travis will be the wingman for Whitmer there. You wouldn't think he'd push the issue, as now we see it again. Look at this. Whitmer's getting the advantage off the toe of the boot. He's getting the power down earlier.
Yeah, it looks like the back of Johan's car is really moving around through that toe section of the track. Turn 7. Oh, and he's got a great run out. It's going to put him on the outside, but he's alongside, Cal.
He is. If he can get side by side through here and just roll speed without Johan washing out. Oh, that was tight. That was really tight. One more lap to go at the completion of this one.
All right, look at Travis. He's just gobbling these guys up right now.
Well, I don't think he's going to force the issue.
I agree.
You got to believe he's going to let Whitmer just continue to hound Johan for the lead. That's good news. You don't want someone from another team right behind you. That really complicates things on this final lap.
White flag.
Whitmer there really just backed off and rolled big speed there through turn 1. Uses a bit more of the curb, maximizing that radius to carry speed with it.
Last time up through the S's in this absolute chess match. Obviously, identical platforms, but set up differently to each driver's liking, and Whitmer again moves to the outside. He's farther alongside sooner than he has been, but what do you do with it?
Yeah, there's just nowhere to go right there. He's got speed. What can he do with it right now? Is he carrying just a couple of miles an hour more than Johan right in front of him, but he's got nowhere to go? I think the opportunity in the boot may be his last chance here on this lap. Look at Travis. He has joined the party.
Oh, Again, Whitmer realized. And the problem is if he gets it just a smidge too deep there, then it just pushes.
Yeah, and Johan just has that advantage. He's able to run a slightly wider entry, carry a little bit more speed.
Now watch the rotation on Johan's car. You see that back end just sticks out a little bit, and Whitmer down to the inside again, Cal.
Yeah, he's got the overlap. This is perfect. He just needs to time it a little bit better. Right now, all he needs to do is just get on the brakes relatively early and just maintain that inside line. Johan fights him to the outside. Don't give him the alley. He's giving him the lane. But he's got the power down. Yes, he's got it.
Now Travis is going to attack, as you said, try and take the heat off of Whitmer and go after Johan, who almost walls it.
Unbelievably close there. Whitmer is through for the lead. Can he hang on? 2 corners to go.
Whitmer's gone. That's good 5 car lengths now for Johan. It's keeping Travis behind him onto the front straight. Carl Whitmer from pole shuffled back on the opening lap, gets it back on the final lap, and Whitmer wins, maximizing points. Schwartz hangs on for second, Travis third, Kozaroff just fending off Robert Nimkoff, who gapped him again and came after him late in the going. But what an amazing run we have witnessed here in this second to the last round of the championship here. And, we talk about it all the time, Cal, that road racing is high-speed chess, and we saw that play out today.
We really did, and he was just got alongside Johan a little bit earlier in that run in the boot to turn 8, and just allowed him to get on the brakes a little bit sooner than the time he tried it before and just execute that pass perfect. I thought he's going to be too kind and give Johan the lane coming off, but Johan was running out of grip, running out of road. Just perfectly executed, and he did all he could do here today. Pole, fast lap, win, maximum point score, and unofficially he'll cut that lead down to 12 points on Kozaroff with 1 round remaining.
Yeah, came in, Kozaroff did 20 up, down to 12. Oh, that's amazing stuff. And you can just start to see it, that in turn 7, you can just see the back end of Johan's car just starting to give it up in those last 7-8 minutes. And obviously somebody as savvy as Carl Whitmer read that, figured that one right out, and was able to go after it. So good run. We've talked about the top 5. Rika in the Genesis Coupe, the 78, ends up in the 6th spot. Clooney 7th and the 3rd of the classic BMWs. And Hanratty in the Lotus up to 8th, Cal.
Yeah, great run for him. What a great race. I mean, to run that close for that long and not really touch each other was truly remarkable. Travis there congratulating his teammate. He was the perfect teammate today. Let Whitmer get back to the lead battle early after that slip on the opening lap, and then was willing to put the pressure on Johan. I thought for a moment there he wasn't doing his teammates any favors. If there was contact between Schwartz and Travis there on that last lap, it could have allowed Kozaroff to nip through for 2nd place. But they kept it clean, and Kozaroff loses 6 points on the race. 2 bonus points to Whitmer on the weekend so far.
Absolutely stunning, and that save coming out of turn 9 by Johan when he got up by the wall.
He's the drift king.
Well, he is, and it showed there. It came good for him at that point. Here we go, the field making its way now down into pit lane. And let's take a look at the other side of the equation. When we think about the points for manufacturers now, you have 3 BMWs in front of Kozaroff in the Nissan. That's going to snug that up substantially.
Yeah, it really will. It's a good point, Greg. There was 7 points between Nissan and BMW, with Nissan holding the lead coming in. So that will be a big swing here.
Oh, look at this. Carl is just absolutely, look at that, and earned it. He earned that. That was phenomenal. This is one of those very special moments for sure. It's the driver enjoying that moment with the crew, and you love to see it, and you let them have those moments, that's for sure. And helmet is off. Let's get down to Gino with, I am sure, an immensely elated winner.
I don't know, Carl, are you happy today?
Oh, God, I'm so happy.
All right, so persistence, patience, what a drive. The first move, Johan made a small bobble going into the heel, and you capitalized on it. But I got to tell you, my friend, outstanding.
Yeah, you know, I messed up. It was my mistake at the beginning. I totally screwed up. I'm happy I saved it. I just keep digging, you know, save my tires. Johan, good job, Johan. Appreciate it. You know, clean driver. We kept it honest, and can't thank the guys at Classic BMW and BMW Motorsports enough for this win.
You just got a lot to do. You're still in the chase. Championship Manufacturer Driver Championship. How does that feel?
That feels good, you know, but we can't get ahead of ourselves. Just big picture, you know, we'll keep finishing where we finish and hope something happens, but I don't wish it on anybody. It's been a good season all year, so let's just keep digging in the last race.
Outstanding, my friend. Congratulations.
And you know, you were absolutely right. Outstanding. That drive. Let's take a look at our unofficial results here after this 11th round of the 12-round championship. There's the race. There's the margin. And obviously, it was never that big throughout the real part of the race until that last lap, obviously. Travis there, you can see the 3 BMWs, Kozarov fourth, Nimkov into the 5th spot, and then the rest of the top 10. And the Bruminator able to come up and join the party and finish in the top 10. And nice to see Steve Strymer as well making his way up in the top 10. But after a battle like that, we've got to hear from our pole sitter, from our second place finisher. What a race he put on. Gino's with Johan.
Johan, I looked at it, I watched it. It was like a clinic. One bobble. This is the epitome of road racing right here. It was one small mistake. Second place. You're still in this thing.
I'm still in this thing, and it was a lot of fun. I just, you look back at it, and you kind of wonder, if I should have released the brakes a little bit sooner and rolled a little more speed and kept it a little tighter to the inside. But Carl, what a race he does. I love racing with him. He's so clean out there. And, kudos to him for doing what he did. It's just a phenomenal. Diamond Creek Water and Shop BMW USA and West Virginia University, they made this happen. Michelle and Todd Brown and the whole crew, Steve, Eric, Mark, and Justin. Phenomenal job by those guys. I love racing Pirelli World Challenge.
Thank you, Johan. Congratulations. For a second there, I thought we had Johan short of words.
All right, thanks very much, Gino. By the way, we want to acknowledge that the number 31 of Jack Baruth, nice to see that, the Road and Track contributing editor, gets the VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award up 6 spots during the course of the race and his debut. So fantastic job, absolutely superb. And again, that Manufacturers Championship, Cal, you were doing some tabulations here. It is close.
Yeah, I think it could be down to 1 point with the 2 bonus points for both pole positions for BMW with Carl. I mean, it's going to be a 1-point championship tomorrow, so it could get turned around here in the final weekend to go BMW's way, but a lot to play for tomorrow.
Well, that's a big numbers game, obviously. You got 3 Nissans here, and you got 11 BMWs, so that's why they bring the numbers. So that's it. I tell you what, we are so looking forward now to this final race of this Touring Car Championship, which will happen tomorrow. So those of you that might be interested in it, be a bit earlier, 10 o'clock, so probably about 9:45 Eastern Time is when that second and final race of the weekend and final race of the season for Touring Car will unfold here at Watkins Glen International. We're going to take a bit of a pause here as we are into the lunch break here at the track. But about 1:30, we will be gearing up and getting ready to go with the first of the GT races, the premier category of the Pirelli World Challenge, as that will set to unfold for their penultimate round of the championship. So we will be back with you then, and we look forward to having you back with us here as well at Watkins Glen International for the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix of Watkins Glen, presented by TM Performance.